If you turn the clock back 10 years ago, the people who were our co-founders, Bud Meyer and Bill Dietl, really were pretty prescient. At that time, we knew we had a crisis in America with newspapers disappearing. We also knew that we had a very good newspaper here in Rappahannock County that had and still has basically a staff of one full-time journalist, which means that that person has to cover every board meeting, every zoning board meeting, every fire, every crash. They simply can't do it. So the idea behind Foothills Forum was, how can we help this very good newspaper to thrive at a time when newspapers are disappearing right and left? So if you look at that problem, it is much worse today than it was 10 years ago on a national level. In the last 20 years, we have lost close to 3,000 local newspapers. There are now about 1,800 communities in America that have no local newsroom. The acceleration of the demise of local newspapers is so acute now that the most recent research shows that on average 2.5 newspapers disappear every week in America. And they are accelerating in areas like ours, rural America.
One of the reasons for Foothills Forum's existence, and the reason it's still here 10 years later, is a very open, trusting, and transparent relationship we, the nonprofit, have with the owner and publisher of the for-profit newspaper, Dennis Brock. Dennis has been a steadfast, willing, and beneficial, if I may say so, partner in this 10-year relationship.
So the big reason why I took this job in Rappahannock is because of Foothills Forum and is because of the talent that is currently on Foothills Forum. I knew that when it came to mentorship and guidance, that this was the place to be. I mean, the guys on Foothills are so smart. With our own reporting, Ireland Hayes and Bob Hurley and Randy Ryland, they're writing long stories that we wouldn't have time to do otherwise. So Ireland's consistent beat is courts, and that was something that I couldn't do regularly before she got here. So now we have a consistent beat reporter doing crime in courts, which is one of the most important beats, I think. And so they fill a huge gap. I mean, without them, it would be literally just me.
I work mostly with the Rappahannock News team. I like to explain it like I'm a contractor, so I'm employed by Foothills. I work with them on different long-term projects, but face-to-face on a weekly basis, I'm mostly with the Rappahannock News team.
What I think is so valuable is that they are reaching out to young journalists who are learning the trade, which is a luxury, really, to have seasoned people helping them. So it's really great that Foothills is giving these young journalists an opportunity, and for me, it's so rewarding to see them blossom.
It seemed obvious that we needed more hands, more eyes, more questions being asked, and more stories being generated in addition to the good work that the paper has already been doing.
Some of the series that I've worked on with broadband and mental health and those sort of things, they take time. And when you're working for a small weekly newspaper, you don't have the time. And you have all these other things to do. So I think that's a real benefit. And that's what makes it unique in my mind.
I was the editor of the Culpeper Star Exponent before this. I had a staff of 2 reporters working for me, and I felt like I was on a sinking ship. It was just, the budget was getting cut constantly, and I could see how local news was suffering, and I didn't know what the solution could be. And when I learned about Foothills Forum and what they were doing with nonprofit news, I thought, man, this is something that could really work.
If we were having this conversation even 3 years ago, I would have said nonprofit journalism is sort of a way station as we figure out a business model for local news. The new thinking is that nonprofit journalism is the business model, and that communities have to consistently support fact-based, nonpartisan news in just the same way that they support the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the food pantry, all these very important things. And having quality information, a shared truth, as we say, on which a community can debate issues and come up with reasonable solutions that improve their lives. That, what is the price you put on that? It's incredibly important.
It's important to also observe that Foothills Forum's success, its rising prominence, led to a lot of other nonprofit journalism ventures saying, hey, maybe we can do this. And I think that's enormously important. There have been places nearby and places farther away who are always referring to the fact that Foothills Forum can do this in a county of 7,000 people. There must be a way we can do this in our community.
Rappahannock News and Foothills Forum are great partners, and we collectively also try to be great partners with the community, and vice versa. The community is shown great support for both institutions. Another aspect of the collaboration in terms of enhancing community storytelling is visual storytelling, which at a small weekly newspaper, there aren't a lot of tools and resources and times available, but through working with Foothills, we've been able to do really great photojournalism. We've done documentary video journalism and great data visualizations. And the reason all three of those things are important is because they're great tools to tell local stories.
It's been an awful lot of fun over these 10 years to work with a spectacular cast of characters. Renowned journalists, superb nonprofit volunteers, the community itself. And we've had fun, we've taken our shots, but we decided from the get-go, let's develop a track record and let that track record speak for itself. And I think over the years it has.